comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to good morning to the entire United States. Good morning to every nook and cranny in both Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, who listens and to the signal, the 100,000 watt transmitter that permeates into that receiving gadget called the radio. If you're still using it, welcome to those on the internet. Welcome to all. Folks, we are going to have a great program for you today. We are back. We are back live. Hurricane. We are starting to recover from the hurricane. It's a great thing. We want to give big thank you to the geniuses at KPFT, specifically El Señor Howard Reynolds, that fought his way through winds and rain and tornadoes and everything to try to keep this system going. We have the reality of folks that want to make sure you get info, folks. But, before I continue my rant here, I want to go to those beautiful people, the geniuses in the studio. Good morning, Howard. Good morning, Jacques.
Well, it was pretty tough going through the snow and the sleet and the hurricane and the tornadoes and the rain just to go over to the transmitter and fix it.
And the piles of leaves and trees and stuff piled up everywhere.
Right.
Don't forget that.
And those snow leopards and those pterodactyls surrounding the whole transmitter. It was a pretty rough time. I will say it was pretty brutal. We did lose power on was it Monday morning at 7:30? Yes. It was in and out, then it was out for good for about 2 days. Came back on at 5:50 on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And I happened to notice that Arnie Arneson was on. Wait a minute, that's 12 hours off. So I went over to the transmitter, and because I had no way of getting to the computers remotely, because I had no power myself. So I went over there and fixed it and got Susan on, and she was all happy and got all of her live programming back on for Wednesday. And then we've just progressed from there. I finally got my electricity back on, what was it, Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Thursday.
Good for you.
We had generators. My sister and I went through Winter Storm Uri, and after that, I said, I got to get some generators. So I bought some that didn't work and fixed them to where they did work. You can get a lot of generators that don't work that people store the gasoline in. It clogs up everything. And then they can't figure out why it doesn't start, and they really don't want to mess with it. So they'll sell it for a song, practically. So I bought a couple of those and took them apart, put them back together, and made them work. And that's what we were doing. I didn't store them with gasoline in them this time because I never do. I always drain the gas out and run it off of starter fluid until it dies, because the starter fluid doesn't leave a residue in it. It's an ether. It's ether.
Right.
So we made it through okay, not particularly great, but not particularly bad either. Powered the refrigerator, powered some small air conditioners, so we were okay. But man, what a mess. Holy cow. And these poor folks who are still out of electricity today.
Yes, they are.
And it's a week later, and they're the center point guys, God bless them. They're out there doing the best they can.
And they're getting attacked by guns.
They are. They're getting attacked by all kinds of stuff, which leads me to my next point this morning, a small rant. Donald Trump got shot at a rally by an AR-15. Okay. So it was just about 18 months ago that the Republican Congress members were walking around wearing these AR-15 pens on their lapel to protect the Second Amendment. I wonder if they're going to be wearing those AR-15 pens today or not.
They probably will. There's some. They will.
Gun control is only a topic when it happens to them.
Right.
When it happens to the regular public, they don't do anything else. Like, what? Gun control? Seriously? Yeah, seriously. So, a few more inches and Trump would have been taken out of the race.
Yeah, and that would have been a bad thing. And I want to speak on that today later on. That would have been a bad thing.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Technically, yes. It would have been a bad thing. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, we'll go into that later for sure.
Jack has been working on some wisdom. He's got almost 2 pages of it, so I can hardly wait to hear this.
No, not that much. 1 page.
Oh, well, okay. We've been missing your wisdom, Jack.
Okay. Poor, innocent, persecuted Trump plays for the sympathy vote. It's like reading Late Great Planet Earth or Satan is Alive and Well on Planet Earth Today, where it basically lays out and interprets the book of Revelation's endgame. In modern times terms, it speaks of the unsuccessful attempt on the Antichrist life. Revelations is a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning men of power are acting this out like a black op. It's theater for the masses. And Project 2025 is the instrument they'll use to carry it out. Their agenda is to subjugate the American people to authoritarian rule. Hell, they will probably bring back Christ himself, though not a Messiah Christ, a corporate Christ.
Don't we have one of those already?
Yeah.
No, they're codifying it. Jack just laid it out that they're codifying it. Codifying. Yes. I love that. Love you for that, Jack. And Howard, look, guys, you nailed what we're going to talk about today. You nailed it. Today's subject is titled The Donald Trump Assassination Attempt, and all the implications are discussed. Many are concerned about how the attempted assassination of Donald Trump will affect the election. What is the pathway that Democrats must take? And there are 2 blogs that I wrote. So before I take calls, I want to get to these blogs, and I hope to get to them in their entirety because I think it is important. We are at what we would call a flex point. A lot of people call it a transition point. A lot of people call it many different areas where there has to be a large gradient. It is a must. So the 2 blog posts, one titled Democrats Don't Fall for the Trap. Truth is civility. Acquiescing to autocracy and fascism isn't. MAGA and the right will use the attempted assassination of Trump by a young Republican man to scare Democrats into false civility. America needs truth, not cowardice and hypocrisy. And the second one, a Republican Party without Trump would not destroy the MAGA movement or stop Project 25. What seems like the attempt on former President Trump's life may not be all it appears to be. So I'm going to start with Democrats not acquiescing to truth and civility. And it goes like this. And I want folks to listen in detail. This is important. This is not lack of civility. This is not lack of unity. This is not that at all. So let's start. I should not have to say this, but in our hypocritical society and more righteous indignation than righteousness and morality, I must talk about this. No politician or anyone should fear for their life because of the possibility of being gunned down or assassinated. Most of the time, our government successfully thwarts the potential assassination of politicians. We must not forget the thwarting of the kidnapping and harming plot of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer by right-wing militias. Unfortunately, Trump's Secret Service seemed to have failed him, even though they had time to act. That's why a lot of people are saying, is this stuff staged? Is this stuff staged? Honestly, I don't think it is. I think this was gross incompetence. 400 yards away on the top of a building with a slight incline, where were the binoculars scanning those areas that could be vulnerable? So yeah, I think I don't think it was staged. I think that was a gross incompetence. Or either gross incompetence or thinking, well, we are in red territory and these are places where they love us. We are safe. Remember during the January 6th insurrection, remember what happened? Remember that Donald Trump told them, we don't need any magnetometers, right? Because these people with AR-15s in this on the Washington Mall, they are our people. So he didn't think he needed to be protected for people coming into the area with guns or not. All of this that I'm saying is very well documented. Everything that I will speak about is very well documented. No if, buts, no maybes, no gray areas. Even if not most times, too often these purveyors of violence, mainly on the right, are successful. The attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, the attack on Bernie Sanders' office, the shooting of former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, and the shooting of Steve Scalise, to mention a few. I am starting to detect the false equivalence call to action. If we consent to it, it will be the kiss of death, not only in this election, but in the future, because we will have ceded the moral ground that progressives have codified. I want to repeat, if we coalesce and make this stuff look like a false equivalent, it's the one side is talking like this, the other side. That's not what is occurring at all. No false equivalence here. And if you coalesce to it the way the media is trying to low down the temperature, bring down the temperature is only high on one side. It's only one side who believe in arming people. It's only one side who believe having AR-15s and bazookas and all that kind of stuff is okay. It's only one side going out and say, if I lose, there will be a bloodbath. It's only one side that had a January 6th. Let's not fall into a false equivalence crap. Let's continue moving forward on the facts. Let's continue moving forward by telling Americans the unadulterated truth. Let's continue moving forward by letting folks know exactly what it means when Democrats and progressives get elected, how we are going to change your life, how we are going to ensure that you have equal access to success. Let's not allow distractions. We are the ones that support life, freedom in all respects, nonviolence, equity, inclusion, and much more that is anathema to the leadership of the right that is then permeated to its base. Specifically, it is ludicrous for Democrats and progressives to feel or accept any responsibility for a young, registered Republican man using an AR-15 style rifle to attempt to take the life of Donald Trump. We must find causality that is not difficult if we stop trying to play false equivalence and false and balanced game. Blame is not hard to ascertain. The right has established a culture not of compromise, but of my way or the gun way. The preponderance of the evidence is clear. January 6th is clear. Armed militias, it's clear. When was the last time you've seen a whole bunch of lefties running around with guns and AR-15s and bazookas in the street to show that they have Second Amendment rights? And what the hell do you do with these things that you have on your shoulder? The first person that scares you, you shoot them. Well, we know what that looks like. It looks like Austin. While one can find isolated incidents from a few with an affinity for the left, the converse on the right is countless. From the murderer in Austin, Daniel Perry, who gunned down an innocent man in a BLM protest that a corrupt Texas Governor Greg Abbott pardoned, to January 6th, where Trump's MAGA enforcers caused the deaths and injuries of scores of police and officers and others. Of course, there is a constancy of mass killing with assault weapons that most regular guns, because of a right-wing culture of virtually unadulterated access to firearms, guns, or Second Amendment rights. We want to be able to have guns, no checks, no nothing. We want the freedom. Here in Texas, anybody can go get a gun, have it in their car. So what has increased in Texas, unlike in blue states, the murder rate has increased. All these rates have increased. Again, look it up. Red state versus blue state murder rates. All these things are true, provable, verifiable. Don't listen to my words. Look it up. We should not forget the rhetoric from prominent MAGA and right-wing voices, from former president himself to Steve Bannon and the head of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, among many others. These guys are stoking their base. And these guys are stoking those with weak minds, right? And, there are a lot of Republicans that have abandoned Donald Trump. And when they see Donald Trump coming ahead, what is their response? They don't have the progressive response. After all, again, it seemed like this guy who shot the president, or the former president, they said in 1920 something, he gave $15 to a progressive. Actually, it's one of those false groups that collects a lot of money and spend it themselves. But what I'm saying, when you take a look at what their behavior when it comes to solving problems is not sitting down and talking. Hey, when I wrote the book, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Friends and Neighbors, it wasn't about saying how to shoot my friends and neighbors or how to force my friends and neighbors. Anybody who listens to politics done right, anybody who is in our chats knows that we have 30 to 40% conservatives and MAGAs that permeates our being, because they know they're heard, because they know it's not about violence, it's about open dialogue and making people speak and understanding. And even if we disagree, understanding that you still have a brother, a mother, a sister, and folks that we know you love, we know what it's all about. I felt sick feeling. I was in Baltimore at the conference, the Netroots Nation conference, and this shooting occurred right after right during the plenary, the ending plenary. And I wish a shooting hadn't happened at all, but I wish we had information then so that we could have gotten on stage and say some of the things that I'm saying right here. I felt that sick feeling as I listened to the news and watched Democrat after Democrat acquiesce to the need for both sides to tone down the rhetoric. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? When Martha Raddatz, a host generally sympathetic to Republicans, specifically called out Trump, this false equivalence has gone too far. This morning on this week, meaning yesterday morning on this week, she said the following. We are just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said, Raddatz noted. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. That it's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be least of it. Those are indeed his words. and you have heard it from supporters as well. Heritage Foundation President Roberts was not much different in his rhetoric. He declared himself an insurrectionist open to violence based on the following statements, which was, we are in process of the second American Revolution, he said, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. Whoever did this, the shooter has done so much damage to the left, Maher said. But before I say that, Bill Maher also played the false equivalent crap. I don't know what has gotten into Bill Maher these days. It's as if because he has lost so many progressive voters, he's trying to attract a new audience. Whoever did this, the shooter has done so much damage to the left, Maher said. The left has lost a lot moral high ground in that you are the nonviolent people, and the liberals don't shoot people. Liberals don't solve that way. Yeah, you got half right. Progressives don't believe in violence. Progressives don't believe in the unadulterated arming of America with guns. So you're right, and we remain that way. That a young Republican man with an AR-15, that is a full representation of the right. Republican with an AR-15 shot the president, and somehow Bill Maher wants to attach that to somehow a progressive thing. When I talk about false equivalence, in this case, it's a lying equivalence. As I mentioned above, violence on the left in our times has been an aberration, while a constancy for the right. This must be pointed out. Maybe Maher should have waited a bit so he could have found out that the shooter was a registered Republican in a county that voted 2-1 for Trump. I felt compelled to send Bill Maher a tweet, so I sent him the following. Again, Bill Maher proves he was but a faux progressive. He claims that somehow a young Republican man with an AR-15 style rifle attempting to assassinate Trump has caused the left has lost a lot of moral high ground. He is pandering to MAGA for views. You don't lose a higher ground when it's neither your ideology nor the people you represent who is affecting violence, murder, and what's in between. That's not the case. I implore Democrats and progressives not to cave to play nice lest they get taken to the cleaners. In other words, lose big. It is not our rhetoric that promotes violence. It is not our rhetoric that in the aggregate lacks civility. When the truth describing uncivil, unethical, immoral, treasonous, and other behaviors existential to what this country has become seem to be uncivil, it isn't because they are doing what they're doing reflected. It's because what the people who we're describing are doing something that is uncivil, doing something that is wrong, doing something that is unethical, doing something that is treasonous, doing something that is immoral. And if we call that out, it's not us being uncivil. It is just us being truthful. It is because what they're doing reflect it. We owe the unadulterated truth to the American people. They depend on our policies, and we cannot allow false equivalencies and cowardice to enable Donald Trump, a wannabe autocrat, fascist, and provable chain liar, to go unchecked, lest we cede the 2024 election and fail Americans. End of the blog. Now, I want to point this out, folks, because this is very important. Pointing out that, yes, Donald Trump is a serial liar. That's not uncivil. That is telling the truth in the most kind way possible. That saying Donald Trump is an autocrat is not uncivil. It is saying what he has said himself, that everybody who is going to vote must know. That Donald Trump is a fascist. It is something we know. He's a Mein Kampf reader. He's a person who the items he discussed in the way he wants to impose policy is directly proportional to that which is fascist. None of those statements are uncivil. They are simply the provable truth. And the only way Americans can make a sensible, qualified vote is if we don't leave the truth to happenstance. We must tell the truth, unadulterated truth, no matter what side you're on. The truth must reign. I have another blog to read, but I'm going to go to the phones. Call us 713-526-5738 because I think within the answers that I'm going to give to questions or statements that I'm going to hear on the phone, I will be able to summarize that blog without having to read it in its entirety. So let's go ahead and first of all, folks, start calling in now because I'm going to be my time based on when you call, etc. So if you want to say something, please, I beg that you call early. 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Let's go to line 1 to Brother Art. Come on in, Art.
Thank you for taking
Art.
my call.
Yes, sir.
Yep, you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, coming from my perspective on how I see things, the way they have tried to. One person right now, it seems like that. It seems like it's just one person so far that tried to assassinate former President Trump. That kid, 20, they say.
Yes.
Say he's Republican. They're saying all these things, but we won't know till a few more days till they get the actual truth. For whatever reason, the FBI has his phone, and he didn't have any social media, maybe, which it's just weird. It doesn't make sense, but just to give it a few more days and see what actually comes out. Whatever donation he supposedly made or didn't make, I don't know. But whatever the case, I think Biden's message after, though short, but it was important, and I'm sure Trump's going to change his message up for the Republican convention coming up. I believe the message is going to be unity, and it should be. Regardless where you stand, it should be unity. It seems like there's a call that or sad. Some people are sad that even your coworkers alluded to this, that technically it was a good thing that he wasn't shot, and it's good. But do people actually wish he didn't miss? I mean, do you feel that way?
I definitely don't want. Let me tell you, I'll be very honest with you, Art. I don't want a dead.
For the question.
No, the answer is simple. I'm glad he missed, you bet. But I'm also I felt horrendous that a person got killed because when he missed, he killed an innocent human being.
Right.
So we have to take that into account. And every day, innocent human beings are killed with AR-15s and regular standard guns. So, this just happened to come home to Trump, but it's a constancy. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I see your connection. That like how can these be so far Second Amendment, and actually it was a Second Amendment weapon that was used against them. I think that's going to happen. There's people that are against cars and people against the vaccines, and they're going to die. There's people, there's always something. So
I get it. But a car, you need a license. A car, you need insurance. A car, you need all these things. A gun, you don't have to have anything.
Yeah. And I don't want to take up more of your time. I just think the message should be unity. We need to tone it down. The message you just put out, somebody, listening online that's missing their meds, going through financial situation, they're going to be like, man, if he's the next Hitler, yeah, I'm going to go out there and shoot him too. Or
can I halt you right? Let me stop you right there. Art,
I'm not blaming you.
No. I know, Art. I get it. I understand. You're a very good person.
And you're doing the same thing. You and your coworkers.
Art, hold a second, please. That is what I want to prevent, the false equivalence. What I think you just did was a false equivalence. I said the following: the truth is not uncivil. The truth is not uncivil. If the person that is doing uncivil things is called out by a truth person, that is imperative. And that's what I try to put out here. It's imperative to tell the truth. And once we stop telling the truth, we run the risk of what you just said, that actually occurs. The truth is imperative. But thank you so kindly, Art, for calling, and thank you for listening. All right, let's go ahead and go to Brother Donald. Come on in, Donald. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, good morning, Bertha. I'm glad everybody made it safe through the storm. How are you today?
All right. Art, did you make it safely through the storm without any power issues?
Well, I got a lot of cleanup, but I was going to tell a shout out to Howard. Hey, he sounds like a redneck. He's talking about this new fuel. It destroys the gas tanks and the carburetors. Next, he'll be telling us generators that the points get melted from running too long, and you can blast the fields and get them to work again. So, no, that's a good one. No, my standalone had dirt daubers get in it, and when it fired up, it wiped out my windings. But anyway, so my wife's been without. Well, we spent nights in the hotel, but anyways, it's all good. This was a hurting person that tried to hurt someone else and did hurt other people.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Guns do not kill people. People do. AR-15 is not the weapon of choice. It's good for 100 yards. Your grouping goes way off. But I do have to say good thing for Trump. You hear the zip before you hear the crack. And he looked pretty agile when he grabbed his ear and went to the ground. So
I agree.
He wasn't standing around for the second one. He was pretty pissed off because he got right back up pretty fast. My point is, why at 100? I mean, the guy couldn't have been. They said 150 meters, 168 yards. I don't know the exact facts, so I'm not going to talk about it. I know that'd be an easy shot. Wrong weapon of choice. The point is that you're telling me our police forces, everything else, they couldn't see the guy. Your whole damn job is to sit there and watch perimeters, watch surveillance, look at all the blind spots, look at all that. If somebody's crawling up on a building in camouflage, I would have wore a white Tribex suit, but that's beside the point, so I could play it.
No, Donald, I agree with you. Donald, I agree with you, okay? Because, in fact, I said it in the beginning of the blog. That was incompetence. The truth of the matter is, I believe they got a false sense of security because they were in red country. Everybody loves Trump. And I jump you back to January 6th when they had the magnetometers, or whatever it's called. Trump told them to remove them because these people are not here to harm him, right? People were coming into the Washington Mall with AR-15s, etc. Trump said they were not there to harm him. They don't need the magnetometers. Remember that?
And exactly. And they don't. The point is, those cops standing at that door should have did exactly what the security officer did when that woman busted that glass and came through the door. They should have did it on the outside.
Yeah, look, because Trump wasn't your
breach of perimeter. If once you breach that perimeter, your ass is fair game, or you tried to.
And you know what else, Donald? You know what else? They were failed. Remember a cop that was running after the guy as he was climbing the building. The guy turned the gun at the cop. The cop fell down. He jumped up to the building and started shooting. That cop, the protocol should be, if there's any danger, even if we don't know what it is, secure the secure the candidate, secure the candidate. Even if we don't know where it's coming from, secure the candidate. Again, the cop is totally failure. He should have fired a round into the ground to let them know. Right.
That's what we have is cops and everything else. They're totally incompetent. Oh, they'll bust your ass on the street and do all this rough stuff because they're cowards carrying guns. But that's the point. Incompetent people that know how to handle situations. And we don't have it.
Look, I'm with you, Donald. It seems like
what I was going to say is
yes.
Hold on. With the we're eating rainbow stew with a silver spoon because in the last 3 or 4 years that Biden's been in office, we've had no African Americans killed in police custody. We haven't had any riots. You saw how they shut down the Israel-Palestinian protest, and we're seeing all this. Our government's a sham, and it's a joke, and everybody needs to get their act together. And no, people do not need AR-15s because they're worthless after city blocks. 100.
All right. All right. Look, thank you, Donald. Donald, I got to go. Thank you very much. But you made one misstatement. There are a lot. I mean, what is the shameful part, right, is that what you just said was police haven't been killing African American men as if somehow the numbers has changed. It hasn't changed. It's just not been reported. It's just not been reported. I can prove that as well. All right, let's go ahead to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Well, Brother Ronald McDonald might be disappointed to know that here's another lib on the far left who uses true fuel. And we use the fuel from Buc-ee's to power our lawn equipment, and I'm still a lefty. So deal with that. Now, here's an example from the left and from the right. Ronald Reagan, say what you will about Ronald Reagan, and Gabby Giffords, say what you will about her if you're a righty. Guess what? What was their reaction when they got shot and almost got killed? Ronald Reagan was cracking jokes to the surgeons at the hospital. I saw no news accounts back then. Do you recall any time that Ronald Reagan got nasty and pumped his fist up in the air like Donald Duck did in Pennsylvania the other day? No. And Gabby Giffords was all about kumbaya, kumbaya. So the point is that we are in trouble, folks. We're in big trouble, especially when the caller before Ronald McDonald, his rigidity, his refusal to acknowledge is a big problem. That's why we need to support KPFT and Free Speech TV and The Nation magazine. Please, if you can afford to, support all three and more if you can and be involved. Don't forget, no matter who gets into the White House in January, we're all going to have to take to the streets and the suites to borrow from Amy Goodman. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Brother Johnny. And it is important. By the way, folks, the phones are open. I catered my program today expecting a whole lot of calls because of what had happened. Hope people are not kind of scary to call. The number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. I have another blog to go through anyway in case other calls don't come in. Come on in, Harry. My brother Harry, you're on. Good morning, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I listened to your show on Friday. I enjoyed the white lady and the Korean that you talked to in Baltimore. I really enjoyed that. And I listened to your interviews last week. I got my power back Tuesday at 3 a.m. because it went out 5 a.m. during the hurricane. I was certainly worried about tornado warnings because we were getting them at 4 and 5 in the morning the day of the hurricane.
Right.
I do also recall, but I didn't know you had left town. I remember them mentioning Kingswood had a tornado warning. I said, well, I hope Roberto's going to be all right. I was really worried. And then I heard how frustrated you got when you were doing your Friday show and you were talking about your daughter and the generators.
Right.
And you were complaining about the money, the $400 that you have to spend on that and how ridiculous that is. And I kind of chuckled because you couldn't get the phones up to take calls Friday because I just wanted to show that I know how you vent when you feel the taxpayers getting ripped off by the state. Yeah, and you're right to do that. Well, as far first I'll talk about Bill Maher. I think APEC and Bill Maher has worked hard to get real time to keep that show going since he lost Politically Incorrect. And I would like to see you, Jack, and Howard be on that panel. That would be interesting to talk to Bill Maher. I sure would like to see you guys on real time. And good morning, Jack, and good morning, Howard. Well, Bruno, I was just thinking about when this thing happened. I was thinking about Louis Farrakhan's speech he did in 1989, Blacks in Government. I talked to you about that last year, and I imitated Farrakhan some in that. And one part he talked about in that speech, he talked about a lot of famous people because they tell the truth. And you're right, brother, the truth has to be told and must get out there. But people have, as Farrakhan talked about in that speech, people have died because of the truth, because there are people out there who don't want to hear that truth. Now, Donald Trump, who is a compulsive liar. I was talking to some of my church members over the weekend about this. One of them called him a compulsive liar. And when he lies with impunity like that, people get sick and tired of being lied to. So I'm not surprised that this happened. You know, when they do those sort of things, or when he does those sort of things and continues to do it, and it makes it seem like it's true, because he has this way of coming across to stimulate fear and have people feel like that what he's saying is true. But when you fact check, you know that it's not. You find out it isn't true, and it makes you angry. And this Project 2025, people are real angry about that. They don't want this Christian right fascist dictatorship agenda. They don't want the New Deal destroyed. This is about the fast.
Harry, I want to interrupt you. I want to interrupt you here because I want to clarify something. We are angry about Project 2025. We are angry that Donald Trump is a permeation of lies. But folks, in this country, it is never, ever, ever viable, correct, moral, or any of those things to use violence. The truth is enough if it's gotten out there. And that's why we are here. The truth is what matters. Hey, Harry, real quick, because I got to jump to Stephen now.
Okay. Well, all I can say is, you know, I don't want anybody. I disagree with, as I said to some of my church friends, I disagree with Donald Trump's political ideology. But I don't want anyone shot. And
thank you. Let's leave it right there, Harry. Let's leave it right there. We don't want anybody shot or harmed. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Stephen. Come on in, Stephen.
Good morning, Alberto, to you and the other gentleman.
Thank you. Good morning, brother.
I simply want to state again that when over and over again you are asked to pick the lesser of two evils, the end result is evil. Having said that, I wish no malice to the point of death on Donald Trump, simply that he lose the election. That's it.
Thank you, brother.
And I would say the same thing being for Biden. You know, I'm told that my vote will detract from Biden's success. Be that as it may, I still will make the third-party candidate my choice. And I'll leave you with this thought. As Obadike would say, in my conversations with him, people keep waiting on a change, and they don't have sense to come in out the rain. That's from George Clinton's parliament.
Oh, remember those days? You remember those days, Stephen? Those were great. Let me just qualify one thing to tell you, Stephen. I hear you. I hear you well. Now, the one thing I have to say is, as a host and someone who has responsibility, there are a lot of times I want to, give it to the person or whatever. But I have to look and I have to say this. If I have the elderly and many of my friends on Social Security, on Medicare, and some needing the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, I don't have the luxury to say, even if my vote is going to detract from them getting that, I am going to do it because I feel better. I have to do what's responsible for my brother, my sister, my cousin, my niece, my friend. And that's the reason why I won't, even as I like neither candidate, I won't ever do that. But thank you very much for your thought, Brother Stephen. Okay?
Thank you very much, Roger.
You have a wonderful day. Let's go to Ray from Third Ward. My dear brother Ray, sorry I couldn't take your call while I was in Baltimore, but I the connections and the it wasn't easy to do things out there. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, Egberto, and unfortunately I didn't have this to speak on. Look, I don't want to mince words here because I hear everybody, but I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to fakely pretend like I'm glad he didn't catch the bullet. I'm sorry, Egberto. My dark side, my Joker side, everything says he got what he deserved. Okay, he made it through. He's a martyr now because I saw what happened to Ronald Reagan back in the 80s, and it boosted his popularity, and his fans are gonna look at him like this, BA American hero and all that, and I don't like it. And I just think about when my dear mother and I used to sit here night after night looking at this fool talk all this garbage about political violence, and now he's the one that falls at the hand of his own sword somewhat, but he didn't suffer the ultimate price for all the rhetoric that he put out. And I can't sit here and pretend like, oh, I'm glad he didn't. No, but I can't do it, Egberto. It's not in me.
Can I interrupt you a second, Brother Ray? Let me just say this.
Yeah.
I want to interrupt you in one thing. I wrote another blog called "A Republican Party Without Trump Would Not Destroy the MAGA Movement or Stop Project 2025." Because of the amount of calls that I have, I don't have the time to read it, but I am going to put it in the chat.
I read it, Egberto.
Okay, good.
I hear that too, but understand this. I'm at a point of desperation where
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
But I was asleep when that happened, right? So I woke up, and there was a time, probably I could say within the last 3, 4, 5 years, when me and my mother would sit and just say, I wish one day Donald Trump would just disappear. And that's just what it is. Maybe it's not to the point where we actually want to wish death on a man. We just want him to shut the F up. That's all we want.
Ray, I understand your pain, and that's why you have friends like Politics Done Right. We are that sounding board that you can use anytime. So I thank you so kindly for calling, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Brian, come on in, my brother. Come on in.
Yes. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
Okay. Now, if you go on YouTube and you watch CNN News and you go to the comment section, people are still talking about Ted Cruz and how he left during the big freeze. And if you go to the person's channel, you click on him, like say Joe Blow, he has no content on his channel, but yet he's still talking about Ted Cruz leaving. And 50% of the negative remarks about Ted Cruz, they have no content on their channel.
So you're saying they're bots?
Yeah, that's right. And they all hate Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, where has Sheila Jackson Lee been during this time? Is she with Houston?
Sheila Jackson is very sick right now, sir. She's very sick right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel sorry for that. How about Lena Hidalgo? She is the county judge, right? Is she sick?
And she's been making a lot of comments, and you can read the newspapers and see what she's been doing about the hurricane. So yeah, you can find all the information if you really want to.
Okay, if you really want to, it took 5 days for her first press conference.
She was on vacation. She was on vacation when the hurricane came. Hold on, Brian. Just like Greg Abbott was on a trade mission during the hurricane, and they had competent people handling things while they were in full communication. She was out, and Greg Abbott was out. So that's where we're at. Hey, but I got to go, Brian, to Mr. Mike, okay? Or I'm sorry, to Augie.
Of course you got to go.
No, Brian, hold on. Brian, wait, hold on with Brian. Brian, please, don't do that. You always have a floor here.
Look, okay, I watch the clock. You give some people 4 minutes.
No, Brian, no, hold on. Brian, I'm going to close this down right now with you on this case. No, I don't want you to say that. And the reason I don't want you to say that is this call came in close to the end of the show. If you call in earlier in the show, that wouldn't happen, sir. I promise you that. I give everybody ample time to speak. Augie, come on in.
Good morning. Yeah, enjoyed your Baltimore talk that you had.
Thank you, brother.
My power went to San Antonio.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, it's all like history happened again. All this has happened before. It happened in Germany when Hitler, there were assassination attempts on him. Mm-hmm. And it's like everything's happened. He went after the people that spoke against him or wrote columns against him, and he killed them. And that's what Trump has said he's going to do, too, if he's elected. He's going to kill people. But his MAGA Trumper Republicans still go for him. On the very first RNC, the Republican National Convention in 2016, when Rudy Giuliani spoke, it was like a 1930s Nazi rally. The only thing missing was a Sieg Heil. But
exactly,
somehow, the Trump or Republicans that I talk to, they don't even watch the RNC, and they don't even watch what's going on. So this isn't like Arnie Arnson said this morning. This isn't Joe Biden's election. It's my election. It's our election.
Right.
He stumbles in talking. His actions, what he's done, speaks louder than that. The people are blaming him for what they see, but they don't thank him for what he's done. And people need to wake up. This is our election.
Well, let me just say, Augie, I think you're doing a good job of that. That's what we are going to be doing here. And that's what all of us that are listening to this are supposed to do. We have to make the case. It's not going to be one person making the case. It's going to be the collective making the case and the collective voting. Augie, I'm running out of time, so I got to run to Mike. So, look, thank you for calling, my brother. And I want to give a shout out to Eric Hayes, Billy Allison, Irwin, Persuasive Barrier, all in the chat. And I think I missed Ken F, and a few others. If I miss you, forgive me. Let's go to Mike.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Mike. Talk to me, my brother.
About those people who saying they're going to vote for a third-party candidate. Voting is not a popularity vote. You vote for who's helping the system, and you and others, and you vote against the person who's causing the most harm. The guy was saying the lesser of two evils. Nobody's perfect in this situation, but we know that Donald Trump wants to overthrow the government. This man is totally corrupt, and to sit and cast a vote for someone that you know will not win. And in case Donald Trump does win, you're part of the blame because you didn't strategically vote and you didn't do your duty on behalf of the country and the citizens of the country.
Let me interrupt you a second there. Welcome, Paul Fleming Sr. from Atlanta, Georgia. Let me interrupt you for a second because what you said there could not be more important. But what happens is I think we have to articulate that for a people that are very mad with their choices and want to stick it to somebody. Many have the privilege that if they stick it to somebody, they can walk away feeling good because it won't affect them personally. It won't affect their personal economy. It won't affect their health, etc. As a responsible host, and you as a responsible person coming making that statement, we have to look out not just for how I feel, not just for me, but for what it's going to do to our brothers and sisters who are in need. So thank you very much for that commentary. Something quick before I take off, my brother.
No, you're doing a good job. I appreciate listening to you every day. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And you have a wonderful rest of your day, sir. I got to get out of here now. So thank you very much for calling. Look, folks, please go to, or rather, I have all the blogs and the videos, etc., that would have been played today at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. A lot more information on the blogs covering this subject. It is important for us to be educated. It's important for us to be knowledgeable so that we can go out there and do the job to make sure the right person gets elected. Love you all. Love all my callers, irrespective of ideology. Love all my listeners, irrespective of ideology. And of course, folks, I love my two brothers. They're in the studio that really make this stuff happen. So, Howard, on you.
Okay. Well, rarely do I comment on callers, but I want to say to Ray, I understand it. I get it. I know what you mean about not wanting to fake any type of, I'm so glad that event didn't happen. So I get it. And Jack, what you got, man? You got any wisdom for us on closing out?
Yeah, this is about the Second Amendment and how they've been using it. They're using the Second Amendment rhetoric to arm one side over the other.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. That is prescient. That is prescient. Anyway, folks, I got to be getting out of here. Don't forget, all this other information can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.